Let's talk about why I left Lost Ark, and spoilers, it's probably forever. What's up guys, welcome back to Godroll Games. I'm Jay and this is another and maybe the last Lost Ark video on the channel. It's been a minute and what I'd love to do is explain to you why I've left Lost Ark and see if I'm being rational. I'd love your opinions and let me know what you think in the comments below. Let's make this a discussion and it'd be really great to speak to some people who maybe have experienced the same as me, but let's not mess around, let's jump in. Now before we dive in, let me be clear, I love Lost Ark and I still do, and that should never be in doubt. I've had hands down some of my best MMO memories in this game. I've met some amazing people and learned a lot about my own gaming habits and really pushed myself in this game. Plus, it encouraged me to make this YouTube channel, so I'll always be super happy I dove in headfirst to everything Arcasia has to offer. So then I suppose you're wondering, well, why would you quit Lost Ark if you love it? And in this video, I'm going to try and break that down and explain my reasoning, but you can still absolutely love a game and yet at the same time realize it doesn't fit your gaming needs or lifestyle anymore. For those who don't know me or this channel, I dove into the game a month or so after launch, coming from New World, and from the go I full on fell in love. Fun fact is I actually had a beta key I didn't even use because I didn't think the game was for me, but then one Saturday afternoon, feeling a little bit bored, I downloaded the game, launched it, and oh boy did it take over my life. I couldn't put the game down. I actually fell in love with the characters and the story, which for me is a big thing. I'm a prolific quest skipper in MMOs and thoroughly enjoyed powering my way to level 50. I would say as well, worth noting and to give context, that I reached the end game in Lost Ark in my time. I hit a character to item level 1500 pre-Kakul Seidan release, which at the time was among some of the big boy players in my guild and where a lot of people were really driving their main characters too. Obviously the end game is subjective and ever evolving, but for me that was a huge achievement at the time. Right, let's get into why I stopped playing, and bear in mind there's multiple reasons, a couple of tangents here, so do stick with me, this is going to be an interesting one. I got cock-blocked from Legion raids, and I do need to start with this as the others can all feed from it. Legion raids are hard, man, and we knew that going in, and that's not necessarily my issue. I found them extremely difficult though, and although I did manage to complete Vaulton and Vicus on normal and hard mode, as well as Clown, they really did fatigue me. They were not easy, and before I can go any further on this point, I need to cover a couple of other things which definitely feed into my Legion raid experience. I was lucky enough to be part of an insane guild on the Antares server, Bleeding Guild. Not only a group full of awesome people who took their time and definitely taught me a lot about the game, but they were great fun to play with too, and absolute masters at Lost Ark. They were dominating my server. Now I know you probably sat there going, Jay, you're an idiot, why is that a problem? Well, it feeds back to the Legion rage. It was pretty clear I was being carried and ultimately becoming reliant on my guildies in the hard content. I'm ashamed to admit there was even a Vicus run that, to the amusement of everyone on Discord, I smashed my keyboard in rage. I died and hit my spacebar with my thumb a little too hard. It launched across the living room. I had to duck out of the raid. What a d***. Because I didn't start at launch, I was a little bit behind, so by the time I hit 1370 and found the guild, these guys were doing guild runs, just pulling all the new joins and the new people through the content. So I breezed through Argos and Vaulton every week, and then when I got up to their level and started needing to be an even contributor, I didn't have the skills. This plus bussing to catch up to the rest of my guild really pushed me behind and added a lot of pressure, which by the way was self-imposed. The guys were cool. It really tilted me and made me feel anxious in content I knew I could easily do and start playing terribly, and then this compounded and pushed me even further behind. The support they gave me to get me to their level was incredible, but in doing so I really lacked the player skill and learning that they developed over time, and I really got in my own head about this. Obviously the aim was to try and catch up in terms of skill, to participate in the guild runs and the Legion raids and feel like I was holding my own. So on the side I started pugging them, and we all know how that goes. I'm not going to say any more about it, but that was a terrible experience. As I said, it was all self-induced. I got in my own head about it, And it really started stressing me out and got on top of me, which then leads to my next point. Alts. No, it's no secret, alts are the key to success, and unless you want to swipe that credit card like crazy, you're going to want a full roster of alts, funneling mats into whichever characters you're growing to really build that roster out. Eventually, not just your main, but maybe 6 characters too. Now, unlike most, I was actually super in my element, busting out daily chaos and guardian runs across multiple characters, but time is actually a factor. Real life, busy job, single parent, general real life grown-up stuff getting in the above and really added to the stress I put on myself with Legion raids. And then I realized that actually with the Legion raids, as my roster built to a really strong level, it isn't just once a week, especially the lower ones like Volton and Vikers. I'm going to be running these multiple times a week, and that really was the point that kind of tipped me over the edge. One night I was stewing over all this, doing my usual stuff, and probably the biggest rookie mistake I've ever made in an MMO. I accidentally scrapped my Berserker's piece of jewellery, which still triggers me thinking about it, and it was worth over 100k, and doing this completely destroyed my 5x3 build. It was at that point I closed the game down and realised I needed to take a break, and I actually uninstalled the game. So, a few months go by. Really enjoyed relaxing, tried some other things, did some console gaming, a couple of other MMOs, and then, as I said, I love this game, and so the kind of itch to come back to Lost Ark was there. I was dying to play again, so do you know what? I sat down, reinstalled the game, booted up the game, and I started slow, just bashing out my dailies, my weeklies on reset, finished off the adventure tome pretty much, but then I realised something which has now caused this video. At the level that my character was at, the raids are the end game and the biggest part of the game and the biggest community part of the game, and we all play MMOs to play with other people, and if not the biggest, they're certainly a huge focus. And just a caveat, I had tried and completed most of the other content in the game. My adventure tome was pretty much done. I was smashing out my cocoa seeds, all that stuff, so I was taking on everything the game had to offer. So obviously fear of missing out and now being behind also put pressure on me, and I just couldn't find myself to get back into the groove of Legion raiding and relearning and getting better at them, which was the reason I left. That's not me saying I'm not good enough or they were too hard, but a variety of reasons, which I think I've kind of covered, finally made me realise that my time in Lost Ark is very sadly probably done. Couldn't put the hours in and couldn't get the reps in to get better and all the new Legion raids, plus making YouTube content, because that is now part of my hobby and my downtime, was really what was kind of the last nail in the coffin on this. In hindsight, actually leaving and taking a break was what permanently finished Lost Ark for me, as it's very daunting and very hard to catch up if you leave and come back if you want to feel relevant, especially given that my guild were off smashing things that I couldn't even get near yet. So that was very frustrating. Again, just to be clear, I do love Lost Ark, and I think it's a phenomenal game. It changed the way I approach games for sure, but it's not the game for me right now. But what I would say is it probably and absolutely could be the game for you. So please go and check it out. Fantastic story, tons of things to do. And if it's your thing, it's going to give you an end game MMO equivalent of a Souls-like, might be a good way to describe it. So go and get stuck in today. You will not regret it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that kind of gave you a little more exposure to why I made the decision I did. Have you quit Lost Ark? Do you agree or disagree with your reasoning, or was your reasoning different? Do you think I'm an idiot and I'm missing something and I need to dive back into the game? Let me know down below, especially if you want to play with me and help me. That could sway things. But as always, guys, this has been Godroll Games. Appreciate you watching the video. Like, subscribe, click buttons, all that stuff, and I will see you in the next one.